My ex-wife tried to manipulate the court for alimony, but the judge exposed her lies. She faced legal consequences, and I blocked her. Have you ever sat in court and watched someone dig their own grave in real time? Because this is exactly what my ex-wife, Jessica, did. I should have known she was going to pull something. The entire divorce procedure had been a disaster filled with delays, tantrums, and unnecessary feelings intended to squander my time. We wouldn't have been there if she had put half the effort into our marriage as she did into making my life horrible. But when she walked into that hearing pregnant, I nearly laughed. Not because I felt the child was mine, I knew it wasn't, but because I could see the plan coming together in her thoughts like a cheap soap opera script. Jessica was hoping that the judge would see a poor, helpless, abandoned pregnant lady and order me to pay up. Forget the prenup, forget logic, play the compassion card to get a paycheck. I could already hear her prepared speech. Your Honor, I have a baby on the way, and I've been left with nothing. How am I supposed to survive? All while giving me side glances and waiting for me to squirm. Too bad for her. I don't play dumb, and I never lose. Jessica had underestimated me. She expected me to worry, become flustered, and even accept a settlement in order to avoid looking terrible in front of the judge. But she had no idea what I knew. She had no idea that I had already found her out months ago. Jessica was awful, not only at marrying, but also at lying. And she had no idea that the judge was about to ask her a question that would unravel her entire story. Jessica strode into the courtroom with a smug expression. She played it flawlessly, with one hand on her belly and the other tenderly combing her hair behind her ear, as if she wasn't about to commit legal fraud. She even sighed dramatically as she took her seat, as if the entire process had exhausted her. I did not react. I didn't have to because, unlike Jessica, I wasn't going in blind. I was ready. My lawyer, Ethan, was also present. Ethan was the type of person who smiled in court, but would completely destroy you with the law. I didn't like attorneys much, but after seeing him unravel Jessica's schemes over the last few months, I had to confess I was relieved he was on my side. Jessica, of course, had seen 3 different lawyers since we began this divorce. The one she had today was a newcomer, just out of law school, and undoubtedly eager to win his first major case. I almost felt bad for him. Because here's the thing, Jessica had done this before. Not the pregnancy stunt, but the manipulation, the pretended grief, the "I'm just a struggling woman, Your Honor, please take pity on me" performance. Unfortunately, some people bought it, including my mother. My mother called me about a week before the hearing. "Just settle," she urged, her voice full of tiredness. "You don't want this dragging on forever." I squeezed the bridge of my nose. "Mom, she doesn't get a penny. That is why we had a prenup. She is pregnant, though? Do you really want that on your conscience?" I nearly lost it. "This isn't my kid, Mom." Mom hesitated. "Are you sure?" I wanted to laugh. "Am I sure?" "Mom, she repeatedly cheated on me." I caught her. I halted. "Besides, do you know what the worst part is? If I really felt she was my child, she wouldn't have to pull this nonsense. I would be there. I would take care of them. That's the difference between us. She plans while I take responsibilities." Mom went silent, then sighed. "I just don't want to see this get uglier." It was already ugly, but I assured her I'd handle it. Which leads us back to the present. The judge entered, and the hearing began. Jessica's lawyer broke down in tears right away. "Your Honor, my client has been placed in an untenable circumstance. She's pregnant, unemployed, and struggling as a result of the emotional and financial pressure brought on by this protracted divorce." Jessica sniffled on cue. I did not even blink. Ethan waited patiently, letting the drama unfold. Then he stood up, cool, composed, prepared. "Your Honor, while we obviously sympathize with Miss Parker's plight, we need to clarify a few points before moving forward. First and foremost," he turned to Jessica's attorney, "who is the father of this child?" Jessica suddenly tensed. I knew the question was coming. Jessica did not notice it. She imagined the court would not scrutinize her pregnancy, that she could walk in, appear fragile, and walk out with a large check. However, legally, her pregnancy was only meaningful if I was the father. Her lawyer froze and said softly, "My client believes it is the petitioner's." I nearly laughed. "Believes?" Ethan did not even flinch. "Does she believe so?" "There is no proof." Jessica shuffled uneasily. The judge's gaze narrowed. "Miss Parker, have you had a paternity test done?" Jessica's mouth opened, closed, and then opened again. She was trapped. I just assumed." "You assumed?" The judge continued, unimpressed. "Miss Parker, Is there any evidence to suggest the petitioner is the father? Her lawyer seemed to want to die. Jessica appeared pallid. I relaxed back in my chair, enjoying the entertainment. By this point, Ethan was prepared to finish her off. Your Honor, we have strong reason to believe this child is not my client's. He produced images from 2 months after Jessica and I split up, showing her on vacation with another man, holding hands and kissing, clear evidence that she had moved on. Then came the last nail in the coffin. Ethan slid medical records across the table. Additionally, we have subpoenaed Miss Parker's recent medical records, which show that her first confirmed pregnancy test was months after she and my client had last been together. Jessica's face wrinkled. Her lawyer looked at her, understanding she hadn't told him all of this. The judge gave a long sigh and shook his head. Miss Parker, this court does not tolerate dishonesty. Given the evidence, there is no justification for financial support. The prenuptial agreement stands. You will not receive alimony or further compensation. Boom. Jessica gasped as if she had been physically struck. Your Honor, this hearing is over, the judge announced. Done. Jessica sat still, immobilized. The judge's remarks lingered in the air, but I could see it occurring in real time, her mind searching for an escape. This was not how she expected today to go. According to her account of events, she was meant to cry, seem miserable, and leave with a large monthly check. Instead, she had been publicly exposed. Her lawyer stopped staring at her. He was staring at the floor, most likely reevaluating every decision that had led him to take on this case. Meanwhile, Jessica was clutching the table's edge as if she could somehow cling on to the remaining pieces of her plan. Then the tantrum began, Jessica's final desperate try. But Your Honor, Jessica shouted out in a high-pitched voice. This is not fair. I'm going to have a baby, and he can just walk away? The judge inhaled sharply and rubbed his temples. He was finished. Miss Parker, he stated firmly, this court does not render financial decisions based on emotional appeals. Your pregnancy has no legal bearing on this divorce until paternity is confirmed, which it has not, according to the evidence supplied. But the judge raised his hand. Enough, Jessica snapped. She whirled in her chair, swinging her head at me. Are you really going to do this to me? To your own child? There it was, the final bet. Even after being publicly humiliated, she continued to spread mistrust. The courtroom became silent. Then I gave a leisurely, pleased, vicious smile. You really want to do this, Jessica? I leaned forward and spoke calmly. Do you want to go on record accusing me of being the father? Because we can obtain a court-ordered paternity test straight away. Her face twitched. She had nothing. She knew she didn't have anything. Everyone else in the room felt the same way at that time. This time, the judge did not bother to react. He simply turned to the clerk. The record is closed. Jessica had lost everything, but it wasn't finished yet. The hearing ended, but I wasn't done watching her break down. I went out of the courtroom with Ethan beside me, my mother following a few steps behind. I half expected Jessica to slip out quietly, but I should have known better. She stormed out after me, heels clacking, face flushed, hands shaking. You're a monster, she snarled. You let me sit there humiliated. I gently turned, examining her up and down. I apologized, Jessica. Which part embarrassed you? The portion when you attempted to defraud the court, or the part where you knew I was 3 steps ahead? Her jaw clenched. You set me up. No, sweetheart, I replied, smiling again. You've set yourself up. I just let you walk in. She appeared to want to throw something at me, but then she attempted one more card. She turned to my mother. Are you really cool with this? What did he do to me? Mom hesitated and then crossed her arms. I'm not okay with what you did to him, she told Jessica. You tricked us all once. Never again. Jessica's lips quivered. For a brief moment, I thought she might cry. Then came the real explosion. I hope you rot, she exclaimed, moving nearer as if she intended to claw at me. I hope. Miss Parker. The voice sounded from behind her, a severe, official tone. Jessica froze. 2 court officers had entered the hallway. Come with us, please. Her head snapped around. What? What? The judge has recommended an inquiry into potential perjury and fraud, an officer added. You'll need to answer some questions. Her eyes widened. Wait, no? That's not. However, they were already leading her back towards the courtroom. I let out a slow breath. Ethan touched my shoulder. Well, that was satisfying. I smirked. Yeah, it was. Jessica was hauled back to the courtroom. I did not follow. I did not need to. When the court personnel dragged her away, she was no longer my problem. But I made sure to follow up. Turns out the judge wasn't simply upset. He was making an example of her. Faking financial distress is bad. Attempting to manipulate the court is worse. Lying under oath? That is perjury. Her bogus claims meant she was now being investigated. The court not only dismissed her alimony request, but also noted her case for probable financial wrongdoing. She dug her own grave. Over the next few months, I learned bits and pieces. The judge fined her for wasting the court's time. Her lawyer dropped her immediately. Her attempt to apply for government assistance was denied. It turns out they also need proof of paternity. What about the cherry on top? Her new boyfriend dumped her. Apparently, once my lawyer showed those vacation images in court, the guy began doing the arithmetic. He discovered he wasn't the only one she had been with, and he wasn't sure he was the father anymore. I can only imagine the chaos. A few months following the trial, I received a text from an unknown number. "Jessica, I hope you're happy." I glanced at it for a second before typing back, "I am. Thanks for asking." I then blocked the number. I did not need to hear from her again. She'd spent years attempting to manipulate, control, and milk me for everything I owned. But now she was alone. And for the first time in a long time, I was liberated. Now, to the second story, my mother and sister crashed my wedding, insisting I give up my fiancé because they believed he was perfect for my sister, not me. Hello everyone. I'm 25, female, and I'm furious. I'm very confident this will be my last conversation with my family, and I was wondering if you would do the same if you were in my situation. The main characters in this narrative include: I am 25 years old and female. My sister Ellie, 23, female. My mother, 47, female. Growing up, my mother was considerably closer to Ellie than to me. I think it was because I was far more manly than either of them. I had diverse interests and goals. I've been playing soccer since middle school, and as I got older, I became interested in other sports, such as volleyball and swimming. I eventually won a soccer scholarship, allowing me to attend a university 4 states away. While I was away at university, Ellie decided she did not want anything to do with further education. She dropped out of high school and was proud of it. She had been more concerned with romantic affairs than academics since her early high school years. Somewhere along the way, my mother encouraged her to keep doing this. In my mother's opinion, the finest thing a girl can do is have multiple men fawning over her, because life is easier with admirers than when you settle down with just one person. My parents split up due to my mother's strong beliefs about what a guy should be and how he should behave. My father was emotionally mature and available, which she found overwhelming. When they parted, I was the only one who remained in contact with my father. Ellie, on the other hand, believed all Mom had told her. She concluded Dad was a word missing in original, assumed something negative like burden or weakling, and that she'd be better off without him around. She stated he wasn't much of a father to us anyway. I cannot say I agree with her. I tried to sway her mind about our father, but she had no desire in that relationship. In her opinion, he had dug his grave by deciding to burden Mom with his emotional needs. Her weird beliefs about masculinity and the male mindset troubled me deep down. I suspected she was developing a corrosive, nearly man-hating worldview as she grew older. While Ellie was bouncing from one romantic connection to the next, I was working on my undergraduate degree. I had a lot on my plate, balancing my studies and my sports scholarship, so I simply didn't have time to date. That fact concerned Ellie and Mom tremendously. In their perspective, what do I value if I can't marry someone wealthy? It was weird hearing them utter those things. My mother even went so far as to give me bad dating advice, including manipulative tactics, how I should target men's weak points, console them, and then use it as power to dominate them. She claimed that I needed to control someone in order for them to stay with me, select me, or like me. Her statements seemed so weird to me. Her advice was very strange. I thanked her for her advice, but never followed it. When I was 22, I met someone through my master's program. We began dating, and when I was 24, we became engaged. Because of my mother's weird beliefs about what a woman must do to keep a man, I believed it would be best to conceal my boyfriend's presence until we were engaged. My father, however, was completely aware of my relationship. He had met my fiancée several times before our engagement. After alerting my father of our engagement, I felt it was time to present my fiancée to my mother, so I did. The meeting did not proceed as anticipated. When I initially brought him home, my mother was overjoyed, but not because he was my fiancé. Oh no. Mom did not even allow me to finish introducing him. I had hardly mentioned his name when she interrupted and stated that I had finally come around as a sister because he was the ideal man for Ellie. She said I should have told her and Ellie about him sooner. I was too astonished to speak. So was my fiancé. We both sat there watching Ellie parade around in tight clothing, not even attempting to conceal the fact that I was right there. This was incredibly unacceptable behavior, even if my fiancé was not my fiancé and was simply a buddy. After 5 minutes of watching this drama develop, I snapped out of my amazement and resolved to correct the record. I introduced him as my fiancé and showed them my ring. And for once, I said, I'd appreciate it if you cared about my happiness rather than Ellie's. Hearing this, my mother finally took a good look at my fiancé's face. After glancing at him for a few moments, she announced that she could not offer her blessing to this marriage. I couldn't believe what I heard. I was shocked. I got hurt. I was experiencing too many emotions at once. Instead of disputing, I accepted her opinion, grabbed my fiancé's hand, and left the house. Later, my fiancé asked if I still wanted to marry him, knowing how important my mother's comments were to me. I said, I love you. I see a future with you, and if I want to marry, it will be with you and no one else. With that, we continued with our wedding planning. After nearly 2 months of planning, my wedding day finally arrived. I was in my wedding gown, feeling on top of the world. Everything was perfect. My father came to escort me down the aisle. But then, a disturbance. My mother and Ellie barged in, disregarding the security. Ellie was wearing a wedding gown that had belonged to my mother. My mother called out to me, asking that I cancel the wedding. She said I should not marry my fiancé. And why? Because Ellie deserves it more than I do. My mother believed Ellie deserved a good-paying husband who could care for her while she pursued her dream of becoming a homemaker, unlike me, unlike the masculine woman that I am. My mother suggested that the outfit would look better on Ellie because I have developed biceps and triceps, and the only thing preventing me from being a male is a lack of facial hair. Mom asked my fiancé, what type of woman do you want in your arms? A lady who is obedient, or a woman who would rather spend her leisure time chasing a ball? It wounded, embarrassed, and humiliated me to hear such comments from my own mother. I could not even defend myself. My mother viewed my silence as a show of submission and ordered me to step down from the altar, allowing Ellie to take my place. That's when my fiancé stretched out and took my hand. He turned to my mother and urged her to go, as she and Ellie were not welcome here. He stayed. He wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, a lady he could play soccer with, rather than Ellie, whom he didn't know and didn't like. Mom's face fell. She turned to me and asked me to say something. All I could say was, leave. My mother walked out of the event with a nasty smile on her face, barely covering her disdain for me. Ellie trailed behind her, clearly unhappy. I could barely concentrate on the ceremony after that. The wedding was postponed for half an hour while I attempted to settle myself. Once I felt better, I was finally able to marry the love of my life. When I was alone after the wedding, I burst into tears. I don't understand why my mother did what she did. Is it improper for me to want to marry despite being a manly person? I do not comprehend. Update 1. Hello everyone. Thank you for all your kind sentiments in my DMs and comments. I haven't had time to respond to everyone, but I assure you that I have read them all, and I thank you all for taking the time to read my tale. Yes, my mother and I were never close due to my passion in athletics. Ellie and Mom look a lot more alike than I do. I resemble my father. After my parents parted, Mom attempted to poison us against Dad. She succeeded with Ellie, but not with me. Mom also saw Dad was present during the ceremony, which I don't think she was pleased about. I've received a few texts from my mother, but I haven't had the confidence to open them. Update 2. I opened the messages. My mother laments the fact that I married someone who should have been perfect for Ellie. In her perspective, I ruined Ellie's chance to live the dream life she had always desired by marrying him. I'm not sure why she just cares about Ellie's happiness, not mine. When I challenged my mother about this, she responded, I did not raise you to be such a hateful person who enjoys being envious of others. I couldn't make much sense of what she said, but I knew it was meant to harm me. I had no reason to sit and suffer what she was spewing at me, so I chose to block her. I've never considered taking such dramatic measures. However, standing where I am today, I believe that is the best course of action. I have temporarily blocked my mother. Update 3. Since I blocked my mother, Ellie has decided to trash me on the internet. She made multiple posts portraying me as the villain who took her lover, which was not the case. Fortunately, my father and his side of the family were aware of my continuous relationship with my husband, so they did not accept her words. My mother's side of the family was a very different story, but that's okay. I am not too concerned about it. I've blocked her as well, and I have no plans to unblock her. Mom's family contacted me, and I described the issue to several of them. Those who believed me were unblocked, while those who did not believe me were blocked. I have no regrets, and that is it. I want to have a good life with my husband, and I'm not going to allow my toxic family spoil it. Wow, your mother has some very antiquated and harmful values. You deserve so much more. I can't comprehend why she thought it was right to do what she did. You are NTA for blocking her, by the way. NTA, you should block your mother, Ellie, and anyone else who believes what they did is acceptable, because it is not at all. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.